It's really weird how much I know about flipping houses. I volunteered at Habitat for Humanity in high school. I grew up watching HGTV with my mom. My uncle was a general contractor and a real estate broker. He used to fix up houses and then sell them, and he used to take me along for his jobs when I was growing up. I know a thing or two when it comes to flipping houses and house flipping shows. So it's a really strange experience trying to get through an episode of Flipped Off and not just lose my mind.
You fixing it?
I ain't changing it. I'm telling you.
Oh, you changing it?
You gonna make me? I ain't changing it. I'm telling.
You fixing it?
Flipped Off is a house flipping show starring Russell Hantz, a former Survivor contestant, his brother Sean, and Kristen Bredhoft, their real estate agent. It follows the three as they try to flip houses in Houston and hijinks ensue. It aired in the US on A&E in 2012, and A&E at the time was airing reality shows with a bunch of dramatic elements, like Storage Wars, Dog the Bounty Hunter, Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, and Billy the Exterminator. However, unlike those shows, Flipped Off was canceled after the first season, and I never heard anything about it since then. Luckily, I found the full season on Pluto TV the other day, so let's take a look at Flipped Off and see why it only lasted one season, and see if A&E should have let the show get a second season. Please keep in mind this is all my personal opinion as someone who watched A&E shows at this time. Everything I say is just me speculating on why the show didn't catch on. The first question I had after watching this show is, why is it a house flipping show at all? Most house flipping shows have unknown people so that the audience can relate to them and develop a parasocial relationship with them. You want them to succeed and sell the house for a profit. The only house flipping show hosted by someone who's already famous is Vanilla Ice on the Vanilla Ice Project. However, he was already repairing houses before the show began. I believe that Vanilla Ice works on the houses whether or not the cameras are rolling. With this show, I just feel that they're flipping houses because A&E wanted a house flipping show on the network. Russell doesn't look like he'd actually be flipping houses. House flipping shows are meant to be calming, inoffensive, and somewhat educational. The hosts talk very calmly even when they hit a setback in their projects.
We had to spend $4,000 to make the house smaller, and now we have to restucco the entire exterior because of it, and that's another $6,000. We're just getting killed here. At this point, we just have to make the inside as nice as possible to attract the most buyers.
My doctor's office plays HGTV in the waiting room. They're not meant to be stressful to watch. House flipping shows are something that you put on when you want something chill to watch. Flipped Off fails to follow that tried and true formula. For example, let me show you guys the first 10 seconds of an episode of Vanilla Ice Project, and then Flipped Off.
Right now on Flipped Off. He busts the pipe, I have to get in the water. Sounds like a 5-year-old trapped in a gorilla's body.
If I could sum it up with one word, it would be dysfunctional.
Vanilla Ice Project has uplifting music to make you excited to see how the house is going to turn out. Flipped Off just focuses more on the conflict between Russell and Sean. It's loud, obnoxious, and unsettling. A&E is trying to attract an audience of people who watch house flipping shows, but they don't follow the format of how a show should be. My mom watches house flipping shows because they're nice to have on in the background, and the shows give her design ideas for when she wants to renovate a house. My mom wouldn't want to sit through 10 seconds of whatever this is. If A&E wanted to make a show about the Hantz brothers, they should just make a slice of life reality show like Duck Dynasty, not make a house flipping show where you expect them to work on a house and you just get two grown men fighting with each other.
You have to be f***ing smart when you do like this. This is a piece of You can't do that. You can't just buy houses like this. You're gonna act like a what the? Dude.
A show is only as good as its host. Basing a show around Russell Hantz was the worst idea. The show is trying to make Russell a household name, but he's unable to keep your attention for an entire episode. The show likes to remind you that Russell used to be on Survivor again and again. Besides the show's intro, Russell mentioned Survivor by name 4 out of the 7 episodes.
If you're able to focus on the task at hand, and I was able to do that on Survivor, under extreme conditions, like weather and food and everything. If I'm able to do that there, you better believe I can do it in the real world. I'll stand out here all day long. You see me on Survivor, I can do this.
Do it.
Sean thinks he's running a challenge on Survivor or something. You know, I start looking back, even when I was on Survivor. I had problems every single time. I played the game. I fought through it, and I got to the end. And that's what I can do with this house. I'm gonna fight through it, I'm gonna get to the end.
All right, I get it!
I've never watched Survivor, but from what I learned while researching for this video, he's basically Heather from Total Drama Island.
I didn't come here to work. I came here to play. You gotta talk about the lines. As soon as you step on this island.
Who cares about friends? In this world, there are shepherds and there are sheep, and Lindsay is a major sheep. Bah!
He was the villain of the show that you love to hate. Survivor was a competition show that had teams of people. However, this isn't Survivor. Russell doesn't have a bunch of people to balance out him being irritating to watch. Russell is portrayed and flipped off to be short-tempered, narcissistic, violent, and greedy. None of the episodes made me feel bad for him in any way. I wanted Russell to fail and have everything blow up in his face because he wants people to hate him. That was his purpose on Survivor. There was a small part of an episode where Russell is candid about playing a character and trying not to have it blend into his family life.
When I get ready and I put the fedora on and I got to step into this other person, walk outside of my house, and that's who I become. My fans expect me to be that villain that they've seen. That's what people expect from me, so that's what I give them.
However, the episode aired out of order, so you don't see Russell being self-aware until the 4th episode that aired on TV. Before then, you see Russell making Sean fix a pipe that he broke, force floor repairmen to bid against each other, and he screws Kristen out of getting a commission, and then he comes crawling back to her when the deal falls through. Humanizing Russell is useless when the show wants to portray Russell as being a jerk to everyone, and especially his own brother. I know most of the show is staged, but the show wants everyone to think that Russell is the worst person ever, so why would I want him to succeed when he's an unlikable douche? Every episode is an hour long with ads, and it should have been half an hour. 80s shows at the time were usually 30 minutes with ads. Storage Wars was 30 minutes, Billy the Exterminator was 30 minutes, and Dog the Bounty Hunter was mostly 30 minutes. The only shows that were airing on the network with an hour-long runtime were shows like Beyond Scared Straight, Hoarders, Intervention, and The First 48. Those shows cover serious topics like juvenile delinquents, compulsive hoarding, drug addiction, and detectives solving homicide cases. All of those shows cover complex issues that need a lot of time and care put into it. So it's really dumb that Flipped Off has the same runtime as all of those other shows on the network. Flipped Off doesn't even need to have hour-long episodes. Most of the episodes are full of filler subplots. While I watched this series, I wrote down every time the show goes on a tangent or has a bunch of theatrics, and the tangents are basically 30 minutes by themselves. Here's a list of the filler plot lines in just the 5th episode that aired. Episode 5 and 6 has a subplot where Sean thinks the whole house is haunted because someone died in the house before they bought it. Sean has an estate sale to sell off the junk so he can make some extra money to pay for his daughter's college. Russell and Sean find old newspapers in the house, and the show turns into Storage Wars, and they go to get it appraised.
Probably going to be in the $800 range total.
Sean has his kids come to help demo the house, and his daughter falls through the drywall in the attic, and Sean believes the house is cursed. Sean's wife kicks him out of the house after a disagreement, and he sleeps in the company trailer that they're using as an office. And Russell pranks him by scaring him while he's sleeping. Sean finds out that the cost to fix the foundation is $20,000, and he can't keep a straight face through the whole interaction with Russell. Russell freaks out about the problems the house has, and he breaks a window. The episode ends with Sean and his wife making up, and he goes back home. The last 2 minutes of the episode has Russell going on and on about how the house is a lost cause, and Kristen sells the house to somebody for land value. This episode is just part 1 of the 2 episodes they spend repairing this one house. They spent 2 episodes on just one house, and they had all of those subplots that I just mentioned in part 1. 2 hours of Russell and Sean working on one house and fighting with each other, and it had all of this filler in just one of the episodes. If the show had to have that much filler, then the episode should have been 30 minutes long instead of an hour. Storage Wars had subplots, but they never overstayed their welcome. Also, the episodes were 30 minutes long with commercials, as opposed to an hour. Also, Storage Wars had an ensemble cast, as opposed to depending on one guy who was on Survivor a couple times. To go along with the long runtime, the show also has Russell and Sean making a bunch of dumb mistakes in order to fill out the runtime. Just to give some examples, Sean refuses to get an inspector, and then they find out that the pipes are cracked after they find a dead rat. The rat is clearly a domesticated rat or a dissection rat, but let's pretend that the show didn't plant this. Russell busts a pipe and almost floods the house. Sean buys granite instead of marble countertop and hopes that the client didn't notice. They find fleas in one house and they bug bomb it because they're too cheap to pay for an exterminator. Side note, bug bomb bombs don't work, by the way. The bugs can just hide in the walls until the bug bombs run out. I speak from experience. Russell and Sean fight over the color of a feature wall. Sean wants it to be red, but Russell wants it to be a neutral color. Russell is right on this one. If you're selling a house, they need to be neutral colors, so you don't have the house painted in a color that someone will hate. Anyway, it doesn't matter if they make mistakes because it's all fake. If it's all fake, what's the point of watching it? Flipped Off is an example of how not to make a show about flipping houses. As someone who watches house flipping shows and knows people who flip dozens of homes, this show is a nightmare to sit through. This show should have been a slice-of-life reality show and not Russell and his brother trying to flip houses in Houston. Russell isn't likable enough or charismatic enough to carry a house flipping series, so the show has to shove a bunch of filler to keep the audience's attention. He was popular on Survivor, but he was trying to appeal to a totally different demographic. The episodes are far too long, and the show loses track of its whole premise multiple times in the series, in favor of scripted petty squabbles, and you just want it to end. Flipped Off only lasted one season, and in my opinion, A&E made the right decision when not renewing it. A&E had a bunch of better shows on the network, and the show also came around the same time as Duck Dynasty, so A&E probably wanted to focus more on that. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like to let me know. If you want to watch Flipped Off, it's currently available on Pluto TV, and I have a link in the description. Also, let me know in the comments what other shows you'd like me to review that also lasted one season. Anyways, this has been Ari, and see you guys next time.